Emiliano Abramzon, welcome to the Sports Management Podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Great to have you on the show. You are the founder and CEO of Racket360, an umbrella group that runs, for example, Racket X. So, can you tell us a little bit about the company and what you do?
Yeah, so we created four companies. We support them financially. We hire the CEOs of each company. We help them build and grow every day. It's a model called in the industry of startups company building. The thesis behind Racket 360 is the growth of racket sports in general, the growth of wellness, fitness, social interactions after the pandemic, and obviously the growth of paddle in the US. Those are the three major trends that we are betting on. And to do that, we created four companies. One of the companies is called Racket X, which is a trade show, a convention center for all racket sports. It happened that yesterday we finished our 2026 edition in Fort Lauderdale Convention Center. Huge success. All racket sports. A ton of people came. I mean, exceeded our expectations. It's growing nicely, and it's became the town center of the racket sport industry for sure. Then we created the National Padel League, which is today the largest amateur team league in the US. By far the largest. We have thousands of players, 50 cities. People play at a city level. Then if they win, they go move up to the region. And then if they win, they go to state and then nationals. And we did the nationals this weekend in Miami. And we are launching our new spring season this week for what's coming. We have different levels, men, women. It's to tackle the whole amateur landscape in all the US. And we are endorsed by the USPA in partnership with Red Padel and WPR. So it's the largest amateur padel league in the US. Then we have Racket Central, which is an e-commerce and distribution platform. The theory behind that, for people that are not in the US, when we play paddle in the US, it's not very easy to find product online here. And that makes sense because the market yet is extremely small. It's changing though, hopefully. So we created an e-commerce and distribution platform because assuming that the market will grow, there will be an opportunity for new e-commerce players to fulfill that need of paddle players to buy stuff. And that's what's happening. We are growing at about 300% year over year with our e-commerce platform. We are probably the top three e-commerce platforms and distribution in the US. We manage the Amazon channels for a few brands. We manage pro shops for a few clubs, and we sell online at our website and through Amazon. So that's the third company of Racket 360. And the fourth company is a cluster of clubs. We own and operate clubs. Some are just paddle, some are a combination of paddle and pickleball, and other ones are a combination of all racket sports. We have clubs in Atlanta, in Houston, and in Denver.
Wow. That's amazing. And as you mentioned, like these four pillars, all are doing fantastic. So Racket X, you said you just had the third edition and it's a 70% year-over-year growth. The National Padel League has more than 2,000 players. You are scaling the Racket Social Club to Atlanta, Texas, Colorado, and beyond, if I'm
Yes,
correct. And
yes.
also, as you already mentioned, the digital commerce is 300% year-over-year growth. Fantastic numbers. So what's the reason or reasons behind that this is doing so well, you think?
Well, this is not overnight. We've been working at it for over 2 years. Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of the right time to market, the execution team. We've been able to hire the right people for each of the verticals. So the Racket X show, it's managed by experts from the trade show industry combined with racket sports professionals. The same with the clubs. We hire the best club operators. yeah, so we raised money so we could execute with the right team and with the right pace. We are not burning a lot of cash either. We are very conscious about our financials. So yeah, I mean, this is just the beginning. I mean, we cannot say, oh, we've been so successful that, I mean, we built these four companies, but we believe we are just starting. The growth is ahead of us.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And you mentioned you're thoughtful with your cash, and I know that you recently closed 9 million raise as well. So what are you seeing this money being put towards?
Yeah, it's important to clarify that we've been working on this fundraising for a while. This is not a typical Series A one chunk of money. This has been trenches of several funding efforts, and so a lot of the capital has been already been deployed, and you don't get to build four clubs, the show, the e-commerce, and the league with no money. So um, we just need to accelerate the four companies that we built and scale them. Obviously, we are growing very nicely, and revenues have been increasing better than expected, but it's a very capital-intensive business.
Yeah, I understand that. So, Racket X, you said is all racket sports, but you also have the National Paddle League and stuff like that. So, comparing some different racket sports, paddle is booming, I would say. So, why do you think that paddle is scaling faster than tennis right now in the US?
It is basically timing on the market. Is if you look at the numbers, still we don't know exactly what the numbers are, but let's assume that these ballpark numbers are accurate because that's what we all in the industry agree that are the numbers. So assuming that there are 30 million tennis players in the US and that there could be 20 million pickleball players, that's what the average industry, I mean, business people say that it's more or less the number, then the paddle players are about 100,000. So paddle can continue to double every year. That still it's nothing compared to the volume that tennis and pickleball are in the US. So that's why paddle has a huge opportunity for growth because outside of Miami, where Miami is the mecca of paddle in the US by far, other locations are growing very nicely. The Northeast is growing a lot. Texas, California, we're still insignificant in terms of volume of players compared to other racket sports.
Mm. So the reason for that, as you said, is that it's already smaller, so it's easier
Yeah.
to scale in that way. Yeah, okay, I get it. So, I mean, basically, you guys are trying to build a sport vertically from the ground up, kind of. So, how is that? What are some challenges, opportunities that comes with growing such a new sport in the country?
Yeah, yeah, it's very time consuming, it's very capital intensive, as I said. I mean, it is important to understand that you don't com I mean, convince somebody to start playing paddle, or you don't get a full club, a paddle club within the first week. It takes time to show the sport to people. It takes a lot of effort, lessons, clinics, tournaments, leagues. Uh, at the same time, the adoption we are seeing and the retention is incredible. I mean, I we started this because we love paddle, and I was a former tennis player, and I play paddle almost every day, as many times as my body will allow me to do it. And yeah, I mean, we are passionate, so we are not very fair on the analysis of why paddle, because we love paddle so much. But yeah, we see in our clubs that people that try it, they stay, and it's thickness and it's addictive and it's a lot of fun and it's social. So we are very confident that it will continue to grow. But at the same time, we know it's not going to be easy.
Yeah. And I mean, it has paddle has so many benefits. It's has a very small barrier to entry. It's pretty fast to learn some basics, so it's fun. If you sometimes it's compared that paddle is the new golf, and then you refer to that it's like the social aspect of it. But I
Yeah.
think playing golf per se is much harder to become
Yes.
okay at golf than becoming okay in paddle. So it's easier that way to get started and find it fun. That's what I did when I started. You play a couple of times and then you like it easy because to get okay is pretty easy. Then of course, getting professional at anything is difficult. But would you agree with
Yes.
that?
100%. So the 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 learning curve for you to have a good time with friends is very short. So if you've never played racket sports, or if you're coming from other racket sports, you only need one of a few times to play paddle and you have a good time. The other thing that is very attractive is if you play very well and you are a competitor and you like to improve, the sky is the limit because you can continue improve. And I mean, the people that play at really high level, they never stop learning. So even if you play a competitive level, you can still learn every day because there is a lot of strategy, tactics, and physical and combination with your partner. And I mean, it's a very interesting game in terms of strategy, probably more than tennis, I would say. So that's what's very addictive about paddle is that every time you improve, there's a lot more to learn, and you never stop learning. It's not that you become a proficient in paddle and that's it. You got there. There's nothing more to learn. It's every day you can learn new stuff.
Yeah, completely agree. And I mean, talking about as we said, paddle is booming, and but there are also, pickleball is very big. You said that tennis is already bigger. Other sports now, soccer or football, as we say in Europe, is grabbing more and more attention. World Cup is coming. Do you see these as threats for growing paddle or no?
Zero. I mean, I played football also all my life since I was born and raised in Argentina, and I was first a football player. And I love football. But at a certain age, there's some sports that you probably should avoid, and that's my age. Um, we are fine with all the sports. I mean, it's not one or the other. To me, the more sports people play, the better. And I don't see why people that play paddle cannot play football or tennis or pickleball. I mean, I love sports, and if you invite me to play sports every day, I play every day. And I don't, if you ask me to play golf, I go play golf. And if you ask me to go, let's go skiing, I go skiing. And if you ask me, let's play paddle, I play paddle. I don't care. I mean, as long as I'm with friends and outdoors and playing sports, it's fine. Um, I love all the sports, and I don't think it's one or the other.
All right. I would agree with that. So obviously, when introducing a new sport to a market, there are some challenges or some things you have to manage. And I mean, it's infrastructure, community, media exposure, it's grassroots, coaching, getting the sport out there. What of these would you say have been the most difficult in the US market?
All of the above. Now, yeah, construction, permits, architects, that's very, very hard in the US. A lot of bureaucracy. It's not easy to get permits. Real estate is very expensive. Zoning, you need to consider. Finding a property that has the characteristics that will work it's incredibly difficult because you want a property in a great location that is cheap enough so that you can afford to have a paddle club. So when you look at from a real estate perspective, um, paddle is not a top uh, income producing for a property for square footage. So you much better have a building with multifamily. You probably have a shopping center or office building or a restaurant. Those businesses or an office building with medicals, any of those industries will produce a higher rent per square footage than paddle. So you still want an incredible location, but you cannot pay high lease, and you want high ceilings, and you want the permits to play sports and a lot of parking. So, and then once you get that property, you need to get it approved by the city. So it is very difficult. It's not an easy business to get in.
No, I understand. And in Sweden, it was a lot of when it boomed here during COVID, it was a lot of like older warehouses that was used because then you have what you said, you had high ceilings and big spaces, and then they rebuilt that into paddle courts. And those who survived, I would say, the after the pandemic, after the hype, were the ones that had made, an effort to they had the grassroots, they had classes for kids, they had maybe a cafe, they had a social. They didn't just have a warehouse with a paddle court. But I mean, you have taken it even further and you have built kind of an ecosystem with Racket360. So what was the thinking behind that? Not to, just do the Racket X or just do a paddle club or a league. You have built an ecosystem around it.
Yeah, it's probably from a holding perspective, it's a diversification approach. We have the skills and we have the bandwidth and we have expertise in our management team. We have my co-founder Andy is an expert in e-commerce. My co-founder Marco is an expert in trade shows. I've done real estate for a while, so we combine our skills and we try to, build the ecosystem, knowing what we are good at and what we are not good at, and the opportunities that can synergize. So that's basically it. We know that probably not all four companies are going to be a major success. Probably yes, we don't know, but as a holding, we are well diversified and we complement each other. And but we also interact with people and companies outside of our holding company because we want to be integrated with the whole ecosystem.
Yeah. So, I mean, with all of this, if your vision succeeds with Racket 360, where do you see the paddle landscape in the US being in 5, 10 years from now?
It's going to grow for sure. I don't like to quote any numbers. There's a lot of reports or people saying about, I mean, 20,000 cores, 30,000 cores, 5 million, 10 million people. Nobody knows. It's definitely growing. We see that Racket X, the amount of cores that are being sold, the amount of people that are coming, the amount of racket clubs that are now putting paddle courts, it's definitely growing. And as I said, starting from 100,000 people in a segment that have seen 20 million pickleball players and 30 million or 25 million tennis players, I, I don't see why it will not grow. So, squash, which is also a racket sport that is not so massive, it's more than 1 million people playing squash in the US. So, uh, badminton also, more than 1 million people playing badminton in the US, and you never hear about that outside of the US or whatever. So, with all the respect to the badminton player, it's an amazing sport, but it's not considered a massive sport like tennis or football. So I think for paddle, with what we discussed, the aspects of paddle, barriers of entry, the social aspect, and everything, I don't see why it should not be on the seven figures, about a few million. So with our companies, we hope to capture market share, continue our growth, scale, and be an important player in that ecosystem. If the paddle continues to grow and our companies continue to serve the wave of the growth, we're going to do extremely well.
Sounds promising, and I look forward to following that for sure. I like to get to know the guests on a deeper level. You have given some hints here and there. You're from Argentina, you liked football. I know that you worked in tech early in your career. So, can you give us a little bit your background and how your career journey has been like?
Yes, born and raised in Argentina. I have a master's in economics as an undergrad. I did an MBA in UNC Chapel Hill in North Carolina about 25 years ago, almost. I worked in consulting a few years. I worked in real estate development for a few years in corporate America, but also co-founded 5 companies so far. Of the 5 companies, I managed to exit 2, and I'm still running 2, and one we discontinued many years ago. So yeah, my background is a combination of tech and real estate, and I've been playing sports competitively all my life. Football, tennis, and golf, and I love sports.
Wow.
So after we had a big exit in 21 with my the company that we co-founded, that was an educational technology company. It's called Nearpod. After that exit, I started doing some angel investing, boards, and I started playing padel because I had a lot of time in my hands and I became addicted. So we got together with my 2 co-founders about 2.5 years ago, and we saw the opportunity to create this holding company. And they convinced me to start working again full time, and I'm very happy they did because I'm having a great time combining my passion for racket sports and startups and building this ecosystem from scratch.
I understand that. So is Racket360 one of the 2 companies you're still working on, or are you having
Yeah,
two
yeah, yeah, yeah,
companies from? Okay,
yeah,
so you
yeah,
have Racket360 plus one more company.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, one would argue that running Racket360 would be a full-time job with everything
It
that
is, it is.
entails
Yeah,
that.
no,
So,
yes, 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 yes,
so how are you
yes.
managing running two
Oh no,
companies?
I'm nothing compared to other serial entrepreneurs that are out there in the market. No,
Was
it's about building the teams and prioritizing and also I love playing sports. So yeah, family first, sports, and then work. And yeah, I mean, the good thing about this Racket 360 is that I like so much racket sports that to me, running the National Padel League or being at the Racket X conference, I got to play at Racket X. I got to play at the league, and I'm managing the league, and I'm playing, and I'm having fun. So it's like it's a luxury to be able to work in the industry you love so much.
Yeah, that's a great way to see it. But still takes planning and structure to make it work to run 2 companies, of course.
Yeah.
What are some learnings that you've taken? You had one company in ed tech, and you mentioned or Nearpod.
Yes.
Um, what are some learnings that you can take from those companies? Could those be transferable now into Racket 360?
Well, yeah, all the whole path on fundraising, product market fit, growing, building a team from nothing. In Nearpod, we ended up with 350 employees when we exited. We raised a ton of capital, both from seed investors, VCs, private equity, and I've been advising and mentoring many other startups. And my co-founders also have a ton of experience running companies, starting companies, selling companies, and advising companies. So obviously, we are using all those skills to build Racket 360. Yeah, we are not founders in their 20s that are experimenting this for the first time. I would say more in the 50s than in the 20s. So yeah, we had a few companies and a ton of experience under our belts.
Of course, I understand. And is it difficult with we're talking about fundraising? You hear that left and right, and many companies, of course, are doing it. We mentioned before the 9 million that you said that you have accumulated over time, not in one go, but still, that's a large sum of money for an small sport in US considered. So, has it been difficult to raise this money, and how has that process been like?
Yeah, it's always difficult to raise money. I don't know. Well, maybe very few people in the world can raise with no much effort. But yeah, I mean, you need to, and it's also a huge commitment, right? I mean, because people will give you money because they trust uh, on your capabilities, your delivery, your ethical work. We put a lot of hours into this effort, building the team and making sure that we respond to our investors because what I always tell my mentees that are in the fundraising path is that once you raise money, you have a huge responsibility of making the right decisions and working extremely hard to produce return because people gave you their own money, and for you to work with that money and make sure that you multiply that money multiple times. So not easy. We know it's a huge commitment. Um, I would say I've done it a few times in the past, so I'm used to it, but it's never get easy, and we take it with full responsibility, obviously.
The people and companies that you do raise money from, do they always expect a return on investment in terms of like that they will make a monetary profit, or can they see it as some type of sponsorship, or how does that work?
Now it's all about return. So in my prior company, that was an education company, we would have some people that wanted to invest because they saw how we were improving education. And that's an impact-driven decision, and we were profitable, but also very impact-driven. We were there to help teachers, to help students learn better, period. So yes, there was a more a social impact purpose there, and some people were measuring how many teachers we were helping or how many students were learning better with our platform. In this case, yeah, people will be doing sports, playing social, which is good for society, but at the end of the day, their idea is to make money with us. So it's produce returns.
I understand. And yeah, so after your exit from Nearpods, I mean, have you? If I assume you got, some type of a profit out of that, so is that they're like reinvested now into this, or you're going
Of
full
course.
in Racket360?
Yeah.
So no, there was no thought about like, early retirement if that was possible or
Oh yeah,
doing
yeah.
something.
There was a lot of thoughts. It's boring to me. I mean, I couldn't find anything to do, and playing paddle. I mean, I cannot play paddle 15 hours a day, so I can play paddle 2 hours a day, and then I need to do something with the rest of the day. So yeah, obviously there was a lot of thought into what to do next, but unfortunately, entrepreneurs like ours, with my two co-founders, which are the same, we like starting things. We like creating companies. We are like challenges, and that's how we are. And I mean, we cannot change it.
Yeah. I've heard that from many entrepreneurs, like serial entrepreneurs, that they like to build and scale and then
Yeah.
like start over. Like that's the most exciting part, to start something from scratch and scale it, and then just the day-to-day operations maybe is not as interesting as the building phase. Is that the same for you?
Yeah, yeah, we are still in the building phase, then totally. Yes. Yeah, we like starting stuff. Yeah. That's why I mean I started 5 companies already. And yeah, after the last exit, I thought about stopping, but I quickly realized that that was not for me.
Mm. It's great to see this drive to wanting more and not being fat and happy, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, it's not all about money. It's about having a purpose, and we know paddle is a great thing. I mean, this with last weekend, we had the NPL, the National Padel League finals, about 400 people coming to compete and have fun in teams from all over the US. When you see those people that travel, that have fun, that they compete, they play sports, and they socialize, and they go out, and that's very rewarding because we created that space so people can play sports and be with friends and have fun, and compete and meet new people. So that's it. It feels great.
Yeah, I understand. So, what would be some advice that you have for young people who might either want to work in sports or work in paddle or maybe even be an entrepreneur? At least, being this industry, being the sports industry.
something I would say is don't trust the spreadsheets and 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 the decks. I mean, they all look amazing on a spreadsheet, and occupancy rates and investment and timing to market, they all are not what their shine and look on presentations. It is a hard job to open a facility, to open a company. You need capital, you need effort, and it takes a lot of effort and capital. And you need to be conservative on your assumptions and be very financially responsible. Um, so, like, well, in Sweden, probably you saw a lot of people that thought that just open a facility with a few paddle courts will generate a ton of income very quickly, very easily, and that's not the case. So that would be my advice to young people going into sports, that make sure your assumptions and your financials model are conservative and accurate and realistic, and not uh, based on ChatGPT.
I think a lot of people really rely on ChatGPT at the moment, but maybe not. Sorry, maybe not 100%. You shouldn't do that.
Yeah,
That's some good advice for sure. I I like to end on a networking question. So, who from your network do you think would be a good guest on this show?
definitely my co-founders. They know Marco Ciberti knows a lot about trade shows. He would be a great person to interview. Um, Andy Freire, my also co-founder, knows a lot about e-commerce, but also you can also speak with Patricio Misitrano, the person leading our clubs. He's been in racket sport industry for decades, running clubs, so he could speak more about the industry. And Robin Duda, who is the CEO of Racket360, she created this from zero, so she could speak about how the idea came into a reality with hundreds of sponsors and mostly everybody from the industry coming to the show.
Yeah. So Robin Duda has actually been a guest on the show already. She was
Okay,
amazing. So, but
okay,
the others sound like great guests for sure.
very good.
If the listeners want to, learn more about Racket 360, more about your work, or maybe reach out to you, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, I mean, go to Racket360. Emiliano at Racket360 is my email. Um, you can look for me in LinkedIn, social media, or Racket360.
Fantastic. Emiliano, thank you so much for taking the time to join Sports Management Podcast.
My pleasure, Marcus. Thank you for the opportunity.